My stepmother hates me, and I am addicted in following her life on social media. My name is Mary Helen, but everyone calls me Mary. For the first time in my life, I got the courage to tell my story to someone. I am 14 years old, and when my mother got pregnant with me, my father dumped her to stay with his lover that have half his age. My mother had already my brothers, Mark Anthony, we call him Mark, he was 6 years old at the time, and my other brother John, only 4 years old. Imagine how hard it was for her to handle my father's cheating on her and abandonship. Despite of everything, she showed herself stronger than ever to all of us. Yes, we passed through a lot of financial difficulties, but my mother and my grandparents always gave us the full support and love that every child needs. They also worked hard to pay for our education and to give us all we needed. The years passed, and I was growing up with a revolting feeling due to the absence of my father in our lives. This revolt was fed by the social medias. I started following my stepmother and watching their lives and my father's way of treating his other family. It was so painful. They had everything, and the most important, they had a real family, a mom and a present dad. When I turned 13, my elder brother Mark was killed. This event dragged my mother into depression. I never saw her that bad, but this made us more united to help her and to let her get back on her feet again. During this period, I thought that my dad will get closer to us because it was his son that died. Unfortunately, that was only in my head, an illusion. He went to the burial and the funeral, of course. He treated us with compassion, but he didn't stay, even showing that he was happy to be near us and with us. I couldn't understand why a father doesn't want to be near his own kids. Even if the marriage is over, we are here. We are still his kids. But I continued trying to live my life. At school, I couldn't focus. My head was always elsewhere. It didn't have space to think and learn new things. My teacher tried to draw my attention several times, but it almost never worked. My grades started dropping too. What my teacher didn't know was how much I spent time during class looking at social media, watching every story, every post, and every life event posted by my stepmother. I was so addicted on knowing each step, each gift, and each travel they do. Yes, it was an addiction because I woke up in the morning and the first thing I do was checking her Instagram. And the last thing before bed was looking at her Facebook page. Every shared post dragged me deeper into my sadness and into a bigger deception with my father. Even though my dad never paid for our pension as he should have, my mother never sued him for that, and on the contrary, she always said that he does what he can do. I knew that it wasn't true. But she was so good to us that she didn't want to ruin more his image as a father to her kids. When I turned 14, I couldn't bear it anymore. I couldn't stand the idea of his other family doing so well and treated differently than ours. This is where I decided to go and talk to him. When I arrived there, his wife opened the door. I saw in her eyes the anger. She told me to wait there at the door and that my dad will come out to talk to me. How could her not let me in my dad's house? I never did her anything wrong. But I understood that only the fact that I exist bothered her deeply, and she couldn't bear the idea of my dad giving me love and attention. And that day, I started understanding why my dad was so distant from us. He came out and asked me to go to his car, and when he got there, he started to cry. I didn't understand why, but I noticed that his wife hadn't posted pictures with him in a while, so I thought that they might be facing some problems in their marriage. I asked him why he was crying, and he said he didn't want to worry me about adult problems. So he asked me what I wanted. At this point, I didn't know what to do, if I should tell him why I am here, or no, since he was so sad. But at the same time, all I wanted was answers, to be with him and to see him better. I ended up being a little selfish, and I started saying that I wanted to know why he didn't love me as he loved his other children, why my brother and I couldn't have the same things that his other family had, especially his presence. It was then, and to my surprise, that he replied how he really wanted to be more present in my life, but that when you have two families, it's very hard to live well and in peace. He said that at the beginning of the separation from my mother, he tried to see us often, but that his wife was very jealous, and that it was a real struggle whenever he said he would go to my mother's house. He said that he really tried, until one day she asked him to choose between her and us. He didn't have the courage to tell her that he would continue seeing us because we are his kids. This is where he started to be distant. In that moment, he revealed that he had planned a trip to Disney and that he wanted to take all his children together, and he mentioned it to his wife. And that was why she was fighting with him, because she couldn't accept the idea of us going with them. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. No matter how much he was suffering for her, for the first time, I realized that he always loved me and my brother. I noticed that he was being sincere and that he really wanted to be close to us. I told him that he doesn't need to fight for us to go, that we were already used to not being part of his life and mainly trip plans. I told him that I already know everything because I follow them on social networks and I know that they have visited so many places. But then the revelation came. He told me that my stepmother would no longer separate us, that he felt a lot of remorse for not participating enough in Mark's life, and that he had already told her that if she doesn't accept all the children together, she can stay, because he would take us anyway. In a way or another, my brother's death brought my father closer to me. I felt that I would never again be sad for not having him with me, because he was willing to participate more in my life. We traveled to Disney, only with him and my half-brothers. His wife didn't go, and it was an amazing trip. I always wanted to go to the United States. I was able to get close to my half-brothers, who were very kind to us, and of course, closer to my father. It was like a dream came true. I still follow his wife on social media, but now just because I am a friend of her children. That feeling of sadness has left, giving place to affection and respect for my half-brothers and my father. I hope that one day I won't feel any more anger towards my stepmother, because I know this feeling is not good.